guys, welcome to ITS Tactical. On today's Knot of the Week, we're going to show you how to make a bolus, or a boleadoras, and that is going to consist of 3 monkey's fists tied together, one of them being longer than the other two, and it's basically a tool that the Argentinians used to use. I guess I'm saying that right. People from Argentina used to use, I think they were the first to invent this device. But essentially what it is a device that you throw over your head. Hopefully you've seen these before. But you throw them at whatever you're intending to tackle, whether that be an animal or your food or something like that. So the purpose of these is to either hobble the animal or to get the animal to fall. So we're not only going to be making one of these today, but we're going to be showing you how one of these works. And the one that I've made here is pretty damn effective. So what I'm going to do is, instead of showing you how to make the entire thing, I'm going to walk through the process of forming one of these monkey's fists. The monkey's fist is a knot that we've already gone over on the Knot of the Week, so I'm not going to spend an entirely long time making the monkey's fist, but I am going to at least walk through one step showing you how to make this. The difference between this type of monkey's fist and what we've shown in the past is that there are 5 wraps on each turn of the monkey's fist. So without further ado, let's get right into it. One thing to mention real quick is that there are 2 heavier ends. The shorter of the 3 are heavier than this one. And these 2 are, the core of these, I used a golf ball. And for the core of the lighter weight one, I used a practice golf ball, which is just plastic versus the, I guess, rubber band coating that's inside a regular golf ball. So let me show you how to make one of these. Okay, so what we have here is some sisal rope, and this is just generic natural fiber rope that you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's or anything like that. This isn't any kind of special rope whatsoever. What I have done on a couple of these ends is I've whipped them with dental floss. Dental floss is a very cheap way to whip the end of your rope and get the wax coated stuff so that it binds together. This is absolutely important when you're wrapping some of the final turns on this monkey's fist. You really need to have this end wrapped so that, whipped, so that you can squeeze it into the wraps. So we're not going to start off using the golf ball, but if you remember a monkey's fist, first of all, what we've got here is a 12-foot section of rope, and to make the double balled end of the boleadora, the bolus or the boleadoras, what you need is a 20-foot section. And if you see here, what I've done is I measured out about, I'd say, a good 1.5 feet. In fact, I know that's what it is. It's 1.5 feet on each of the sides here. So this total span here in this loop is 3 feet. And basically what that does is it mates with this end, which this is approximately 2 to 2.5 feet, because I left a little slack here, because when you tie this together using the knot that we're going to use to bind those together, it comes out to a 2-foot section here and 1.5-foot sections here. This makes the lighter weight section longer, which is useful. So the purpose of having a lighter weight ball versus the 2 heavier balls is, sorry, I'm having a hard time doing that without laughing. But the purpose of that is that the lightweight ball flies, the heavier ones fly further than the lighter weight one does. So what happens is the heavier ones hit the target that you're intending to throw at. The lightweight one actually wraps or makes the turns around. The heavier ones will make the turns, but the lighter weight one is the one that actually will wrap a lot faster than the heavier weight ones when you're swinging them. And the technique to swing this thing is that you grab the lighter weight one in your hand and swing the whole thing over your head. So you've got the 2 heavier ends swinging over your head, and that's what you launch at the target. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, let's start with this here. What I've done is taken that dental floss and I've whipped that end, and what I'm going to do is measure off from the end here. I already have a little marker somewhere here that I've marked. So I've got 2 feet here where I've got my mark. So I'm going to measure off 2 feet, and that's where I'm going to start the wrapping at. And the first step in the monkey's fist is to make 5 wraps around your hand. So 3, 4, 5. What you want is, when you're done with these wraps, you want the place where it comes and meets again, right here. You want to count 5 of these loops right there. Move that golf ball. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5, and it's meeting back up, and we've got 5 all the way around. So the next part in this is I like to do it over my fingers right here, and this is where I make I start my second wrapping. So you're going to go opposite direction of what you first wrapped. So let me show that again. Actually, I need to do that. So that's the tricky part that you have to remember, is to make sure you've got those 5 wraps, because if you don't have 5 wraps, it's not going to be as tight when you wrap everything together, and you really need 5 turns. So from there, you're going to start wrapping here like so. And it's a little difficult for me to show this right here, so I'm going to actually turn a little bit. I will show you what I'm doing here, though, as I'm doing it. So the deal with this right here is that as you start wrapping your 5 turns this way, you want to leave your fingers in there, but because what's going to happen is, after you're done with these 5 wraps, you're going to make another 5 that come over this way. So it's going to come across this, and right where my fingers are, it's going to come in and wrap lengthwise around this way. So I'm going to get my 5 wraps around here. Okay, 4 and 5. And this is the part that can get a little bit tricky. And what I like to do is I like to go ahead and, before I insert the golf ball or the weighted end, I like to go ahead and thread this one time. Now you see I'm taking that end that I whipped here, and I'm coming through the top of that stack like this. I'm coming across the back side and back under where my fingers have been the whole time, so I'm coming right there. And at this point, you're almost letting go, so you're taking your fingers out of this rat's nest here. That's kind of what it looks like. And this is where my fingers used to be, and I'm going to come straight up like this and back through where I just came through before. And you're going to make sure you want to come to the side here, so if I'm looking at it this way, instead of coming here, I'm going to come on this side with my wrap. So I like to get at least 2 wraps done this direction before I insert the weighted core, just because it gives it a little more structure. Okay, so you can see now, basically I've got 1 wrap that way. And this is the end of my working end. It's got the whipping on the end with the dental floss. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to squeeze in that practice golf ball here. And one thing you want to do at this point is kind of clean up everything you're working on here. Make sure each line is laying correctly, and that you still have your 5 wraps everywhere. Okay, so there's 5 there, there's 5 there, 5 there, and then this is obviously the end we're still working on here. So there's our working end. We're going to continue that pattern. There's 1. Remember, we're trying to get 5 here. And I'm just going to kind of continue to clean this up. I like to just kind of move the strands around with my hands as I'm doing this. I think it saves time later when you're actually tightening this thing up. Okay, so there's 2. There's before. You can see where that whipping is kind of coming in handy. So you can actually grab that and pull it through. And so we just need one more here, and hopefully we have enough slack. I seem to always not wind up with enough slack and have to pull a little back through. But it looks like we've got the perfect amount. Okay, so you can see there's 5 strands there, 5 pretty much everywhere except for this last wrap up top, and I'll show you how to tuck that in. So we've got 5, 5, 5, just double checking myself here. Okay, so for this last wrap, what we're going to do is we're going to tuck this in about halfway. So it's going to wind up right in there. And once you have that halfway through, you're going to start with this and you're going to trace back. And this is the part where people get really confused at, I found, with a monkey's fist. What you're doing is you're tightening this up, but you're working backwards. So by pushing this in from this way, you see how it's kicking out that strand there? Well, all I'm going to do now is just kind of tighten that up, and then be careful of that whipped end there. Make sure it's still halfway. That's the important part here. So as I'm tightening, I'm just continuing to push the opposite direction, tighten up a little bit, and push. Now this is the part that takes a while. You're just feeding this back around to itself and tightening it up. Now it seems like it's going to take a long time when you're doing this. Try not to get lost. It's very easy to get lost. You sometimes don't know which direction you're pulling from. You just want to keep following that pattern and pay attention to the last place you push through. I like to push through until I can see that rope move. So I can see that, and that's where I need to grab and continue pulling through. Okay, looks like we got one more section here after this. We should be done. These little turns here can sometimes throw you off as well, so be careful with those. But when you've done 3 of these, your fingers will definitely be tired and you will feel it. Monkey's fists are not the easiest things to tie, but I think they're by far one of the coolest knots. And there's just a multitude of use for them too. And you can see with this natural fiber rope, you're going to get stuff all over the place. It's just inevitable, really. As you weave this stuff in and out, it's just going to leave deposits everywhere. Alright, so there you have it. We have tightened up that monkey's fist now, and I'm sure it can get a little tighter, but what I'm going to do at this point is, instead of continuing to mess with this, I'm going to put this off to the side. I'm going to pick up the one that I made before, which is a little tighter, and I'm going to show you how to link these together. And the knot we're going to use to link these together is the Beckett's bend or the sheet bend. I like to call it Beckett's bend. It's just kind of what I'm familiar with from the Navy. But essentially, it's almost like a square knot, and we've shown this before, but I'll briefly go over it. So you're going to come inside. Make sure I'm doing this right here. Yep, okay. And you come inside the loop, down. Jeez. Messing things up here. All right. Okay, from the back side, see, even I get confused with my knots sometimes. So from the back side, you're going to come in the loop, like so, around the back side, and then you're going to tuck under what you just brought through. just like that. And that's the sheet bend or the Beckett's bend. Now, so I don't have to go with you guys here, I'm going to clean this up just a little bit. Make it a little tighter. And then we will launch this thing. See what we can do. Alright, so there's the Beckett's bend. And what you can do at this point too is, this is probably something I'm going to do later on after I'm done with this, is I'm actually going to take some dental floss and whip this whole thing right here, just so it kind of binds that together. But so what I'm going to do is, what you'll hear is probably this thing spinning around in the air, and what I'm going to be doing is just holding that lightweight end here. So these are the heavy ends, this is the lightweight. I'm just going to hold it by this so it's spinning around, and these are going to be in front, and we'll see what we can do with this thing. Okay, I'm going to aim for the rightmost leg of that table here. Try to do this without breaking anything. Wow, pretty cool, huh? There we go. How to make a bolus or a Boleadora with ITS Tactical's Knot of the Week. Thanks for watching.